Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is Jerry Milani. He's in charge of all the Wizard World PR and Wizard World coming to St. Louis this coming May. Jerry, how are you?
Fabulous. How you doing tonight?
Quite well, thank you, and thanks for taking time to speak with us. This has grown quite a bit. I went to the first one that you guys were at in St. Louis in 2013, and it went really well. The one in 2014, I think, doubled in size as far as attendance and special guests you had and everything else. Is it even bigger for this year?
It is even bigger for this year, and I think the way our St. Louis direction has gone is kind of a microcosm for how everything is going with Wizard World. In 2013, St. Louis was one of 8 shows that we did. Last year, it was one of 16 shows that we did, and this year it's one of 27 shows that we're doing. So that kind of growth, where we started out in St. Louis in just 1 or 2 halls of America Center. Mm-hmm. Last year we expanded. We actually used the Dome and the Hall of America Center, and we're going to be a little bit bigger even so this year. So we're really looking forward to next month and coming back out to St. Louis.
And everyone here is excited, too. Everyone I've spoken with, they're like, I get my tickets early. I know they've already started selling stuff on, they've got a Groupon form and everything else. People are excited. Guest-wise, obviously I saw the announcement you guys have Robin Lord Taylor from Gotham, Dave Bautista from Guardians of the Galaxy and the new Bond movie, Tara Reid, I can't remember the gentleman's name from The Flash. He plays Detective Thawne on Flash. So you've got a very diverse guest list. Is there anybody you're still might be coming who you haven't announced yet?
Well, you know what happens sometimes is, and you mentioned a couple of folks there, Robin Lord Taylor, Tara Reid, George Romero is now coming to our show from Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, really?
Christian Kane from The Librarians and Leverage. So we have a lot of celebrities who've never been to Wizard World shows before, actually. Those are 4 that have never been to one of our shows before, and we have a few of our events coming up now. What happens a lot of times is a celebrity will come to a show, and then they're like, okay, sign me up for 4 more, because they're maybe not sure what our shows are like, or they're not sure if it's for them, and we've had that in a couple of situations where a celebrity has come to an event, and then, okay, yep, I do have time on May 23rd, 24th to come out to St. Louis. So there's a possibility we can add even more, but like you said, those are some of the headliners. Haley Atwell from Agent Carter and Captain America, Billy Boyd from Lord of the Rings, Alec Ogletree from the Rams is going to be out for a day also.
Yeah,
so
I saw that.
And Elvira, who's amazing. So it's this kind of cross section of pop culture superstars from 30 years ago, 40 years ago, right up until today.
Now, you said Haley Atwell. I didn't see her as confirmed for St. Louis yet. Is she one who might be coming, maybe?
She is now added. She is now officially on, so that's good news as well. So she'll be Saturday and Sunday out for the show, which is a really big bonus, really big extra push for us now coming into the last 6 weeks before the show. We're very excited to have her.
That's incredible. I loved Agent Carter. My wife and I were waiting every week for it to come back on. What about, I know last year for St. Louis you had Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor, and I, like an idiot fanboy, kind of gasped when I saw that David Tennant had come to Rolla, and I know you had David Tennant and Billy Piper in Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, he did. In fact, Tennant came to Raleigh with the kind of, that was another one that, okay, let me see what these Wizard World guys are all about. Everyone tells me that it's a good show, but let me see. And he'd never done a show in the U.S. where he'd done signing and photos and things like that. And that was the first one he ever did, and he got out. And in fact, the day after that show, we were able to announce that he was coming out to Philadelphia. So right now, it doesn't look like St. Louis is in his plans because of timing and his own schedule. I think he's back in the UK by then. But again, you never know, and also that's the kind of thing that happens where, Philadelphia, we have a lot of celebrities coming, which will be 2 weeks before St. Louis. We might get a surprise or two, depending. But right now, we have 24 celebrities, 23, 24 celebrities already locked in, so it's going to be a great selection of folks for people to pick from voice actors all the way up to Michael Rooker, Guardians of the Galaxy and The Walking Dead, and just Chris 51 from Epic Inc. It's a great variety, and there's someone there, more than one someone for everyone who you may be interested in. And that's just on the celebrity side. We haven't even gotten to all the other things that go on at our shows.
Oh yeah, because you've got all the artists and the inkers and the writers from the comic book. Neil Adams was at I think the last 2 Wizard Worlds here in St. Louis, and I think I saw Ethan Van Sciver is going to be at St. Louis this year.
He is, and he's a guy that if you're a fan of any of the books that he's ever done, he really appreciates that. I recall a time when I was over by his table, just happened to be there, and a gentleman had come up with a book, and he's signing the book for him, but he's not just signing it. He's writing a little drawing inside and you know, taking a little extra time with the guy, and someone was there, and he says, Ethan, why do you do that? You could just sign it and go on. And he says, sir, and he says to the guy, he says, sir, how many different times have you gotten this comic? Well, he says, I bought it when it was in your issue 1 and this and that. And he says, that's why. I'm thanking the fans. And that's what these artists are really all about. They like to come out, thank the fans, and for someone who's a big comic book fan to have the opportunity to see and meet someone who's drawn your favorite comic, that's a really close personal, because these are actually
Absolutely.
drawn comics. It's a very close personal thing, and someone like Ethan, you picked the perfect person to ask about because he's very special when it comes to meeting the fans.
And I know DC and Marvel have been putting out a lot of variant covers that are completely blank. The Harlequin Halloween special and Flash number 39 were blank covers, so those would be ideal to bring to the artists and say, hey, would you mind drawing so-and-so, the Reverse Flash, on the cover?
It makes for a great opportunity to have a different way to kind of have someone do a commission for you, not just drawing something on a piece of paper, but actually, like you said, drawing their own interpretation. In fact, everyone who comes to the show gets every paid attendee gets a variant copy of The Walking Dead #1, which was going to be drawn by one of our celebrities, artists as well. So that'll be kind of a bonus for everyone who comes to the show. And then on top of it, having something like that drawn on a comic is pretty neat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think last year you guys did Wolverine and the X-Men #1. It was a variant by one of the artists, especially for the show.
Yes, so this will be the third year in a row we did a Walking Dead. The first year we did the variant cover of the Marvel last year, and back to Walking Dead this year, and it's been very popular at the shows that we've done so far.
So how far ahead of time do you have to set something like that up, the variant cover that you want from Marvel or from Image? How far in advance do you guys have to get that in play?
Well, the agreement is done about 4 or 5 months out from the calendar year. So we knew in September or October last year that we would be able to do the Walking Dead issues, and then it's about a month out from the show where it's finalized. So in a few weeks we'll have an image that we'll be able to share with folks as well to see what that cover image is going to be like. And again, it's finding an artist who kind of can have that interpretation, and so that we're not using the same artist. We try to, we're going to have 27 shows. We're going to try to use as many different artists as we can. So I'm sure it'll be a very worthy keepsake as it has been the last 2 years.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this: both speaking for the artists on the different books, and as well as the celebrities, is there anybody who you've gotten just like an overwhelming request? I know last year you guys passed out the comment cards and asked people to fill out things. Has there been one celebrity who you haven't gotten to come to Wizard World yet, who you've gotten a lot of requests to try to get?
Well, there's always requests for all different kinds of celebrities, and there's different reasons why celebrities are available, why they're not available. For some celebrities, this just isn't their thing. It's rare, but because we've kind of gotten to the point now where the celebrities that you're seeing coming to our shows, unless it's a very first-time person who really has never experienced it, the kinds of celebrities who like to come to these shows, it's because they like doing this, because it's a fulfilling thing for them, because they have the opportunity to interact with their fans. And if there's someone who you may just have an idea, how about this name, and you throw the name out, it could either be that they just don't feel like doing shows like this, that this kind of thing isn't for them, and that's happened to us in the past, and it's just we move on, and they're okay with it, and we're okay with it, and we understand that everything isn't for everyone, but at the same time, sometimes we get a surprise. Christian Kane from the Librarians, we just added him a couple weeks ago, and right now he has one of the most checking the message boards and checking things like that, and just looking at sales and things like that. He's been just about the most popular guy we've had, especially for being a first-year person. And then, Batista has come to our shows before under the WWE venue, but because he was in Guardians of the Galaxy, it brings him to a whole different realm. And since he did such a great job in that movie, he wasn't just going around grunting. I mean, he had lines, and he acted, and he really shows that he has some chops in venue as well. So we're excited to have him back as well.
And he'll be the one of the new Bond villains, Inspector. That's exciting too.
Yes, I mean, exactly. So you're finding folks who, I mean, we have that combination of, you know, the Robin Lord Taylors and the Dave Bautistas and the Tara Reeds and folks like that who, and Alana Masterson, Walking Dead, who are in, and Michael Rooker, who's in all kinds of things, who are in lots of things. And then you have that kind of nostalgia, and yeah, they might still be doing some things. Joey Lawrence is still doing some things, but hey, Melissa and Joey is something that people really love. Jason Mewes was in all those Kevin Smith films, and he's going to be out. And Rick Cosnett from The Flash was at one of our shows. This will be the second show he's at. He had a great time, and I think it was we had a fan fest in Chicago. I think that's the show he was at, and you know, he kind of got his feet wet. Phil Lamar, the voice actor from Futurama and Family Guy,
Justice
and
League,
he'll do the voices for you. Giancarlo Esposito. So I mean, I'm going on and on with the names, but I think it's you know, it's an opportunity for people to come out and the different kinds of shows they might like. This is something that they can enjoy, meeting these celebrities and, you know, getting to hear them in the Q&A panels. I mean, our programming is something too that grew exponentially over the 3 years now since we've been in St. Louis. I think we probably had 2 or 3 programming rooms going the first year, whereas now we do 4 and 5. Sometimes there's 4 things going on all at once. You have to pick from different programming, and it's celebrity Q&As, it's artists, it's some local things. If you have a great idea for a programming panel that you and your friends think something about, you know, St. Louis comics, or just, you know, you can submit that, and we may select that to be one of our panels. Fans can do that by going on the website wizardworld.com, and so there's ways to interact that way, where you can actually be part of the show, even more so than the carnival type show that we have, where you're really interacting with all facets of what we do.
Right, yeah, and wizardworld.com is the website. They would just go to that, and there's a place on there they can submit their idea for the panel. There
is, yeah. You'll see under programming. If you click on programming, there's a link right there, and there's a form that you download. You fill it out, send it out. I think it's due by the end of next week. It's due a month out, so it'll be due on the 23rd, 24th, like that. So you have a couple of weeks to get an idea together and fill that out, and maybe you'll be the next star of Wizard World Comic-Con St. Louis.
That could be. We're talking with Jerry Milani from Wizard World, the head of the PR. Last year, like I said, it grew over 2013. You guys are, St. Louis will make it about what? Are we halfway through your entire tour? Is it about 3/4 of the way through?
For this year? Well, no, we've done 7 shows. We had 7 shows in the first 10 weeks of the year. So then we've had a couple weeks where we haven't had a show, and now we're going on another stretch where we're going to be in, it's 26 U.S. shows.
Okay, so
we have one show. We have one show we're doing in China, which is a branded show. It's not really a Wizard World show. We're assisting in it. It's going to have some branding, but we're not going to be sending staff and stuff out there. But so 26 shows. So we're at number 7, and we're heading for 5 in a 6-week period with St. Louis right in the middle of that. So it's going to be a really exciting time for all of us. We even have 2 shows on the same weekend in June. We're going to be in Sacramento and Albuquerque. It'll be the first time we're doing 2 shows at the same time. So we've been gearing up for this. We've been moving people around. Everybody's learning different jobs and working on different things in the company, so we can be bringing this show to more places than ever before.
So being as you're not quite halfway through, are you guys able to look and see, wow, we're actually doing better this year, we'll have to add more for 2016, or is it still too early to tell?
We will be adding more for 2016. We're not sure where we're going to fit them in because there aren't that many weeks left, but we're trying our first kind of dual, week where they can't be 2 of our biggest shows. I don't think we could do St. Louis and another show. We're doing Sacramento, kind of a mid-sized show, and we're doing Albuquerque, a new show for us, which will be smaller. But at some point, we won't want to put a big show and then try to have our resources. We're going to have a lot of resources in St. Louis, but we're growing, expanding. We've added a new feature called Con TV, which is it's a television network. It's on Roku, it's on iTunes, it's on your computer, it's on your phone. It's an app. It's a television network for the fan space. So it's got some original programming with a Bruce Campbell game show, which is hilarious.
Yes.
It's got Jason David Frank. We're launching this next week. He's launching his show. Kevin Sorbo has a movie that launched on there. So there's a lot of different original programming and a library of I think it's 30,000 movies and TV shows, and all in kind of the genre. So there's a lot of Godzilla on there, and there's a lot of all those kind of fun horror films and sci-fi and all kinds of great stuff, and 99% of it is free. So fans can just go to contv.com and download that and kind of take that con experience offline and be, have it in your home all the time.
And I know Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk were at the show last year here in St. Louis. I know they're launching a new web series. Is Con TV going to do anything in promotion with them at all?
We're not involved with that specifically, but we really think that that's a kind of if someone like those guys are doing something in this space, we all think we're doing something right, because if they're in there and they know and they're putting all this behind it, even though they're not directly related to us, it's kind of like, when another Comic-Con event somewhere does really well, we look at that as being a great thing for us, because that means that there's a healthy kind of fandom for this and an audience for this, and if there's an audience for what those guys are doing for that show, we're going to have some great audiences for what we're doing on our end. So we're looking at that, because those guys both come to some of our shows, so we're excited that they're on that endeavor as well.
And speaking kind of in that same thing, Raleigh was being a new one you added this year. What you guys have been at this for a while. I don't expect there to be any per se kinks, but when you add a new city that you haven't been to, is there any kind of trepidation or something that, let's make sure this happens, or are you guys, is it just like, okay, we added a new city, everything's the same, we're good to go?
No, everything is different. I mean, there are certain elements of our show that are the same. But our show floor plan is going to be different based on the layout, based on where the entrances are, based on something that worked in a city that we liked, something that didn't work that we want to change around. We just added a new big gaming area. Fans who come can just go and play video games and play. Sometimes it's table games. Sometimes it's video games. Sometimes they'll have a whole setup where you play old arcade games. We'll set up old Pac-Mans and kind of whatever local group we work with. And we experimented with that in one city. We said, well, let's just move it in the middle so more people can see it and experience it, and it was a big hit. So I'd expect that in St. Louis you'll see a very prominent location for that. So we learn things from different cities. We try to do as much research as we can before we decide, and it's usually a year out that we're deciding we're going to go in a city. We want to make sure there's a fandom there. We want to make sure that the venue can accommodate what we want to do. We want to make sure that the schedule, not only our schedule, but the convention center schedule, of course, and just the convention as a whole, the pop culture convention schedule. We don't want to be right on top of another show that might be in the same region and what have you. So we want to make sure we can have a full schedule, a full 3 days that are going to be exciting for fans, that are going to grow. We don't want to go into a city with the idea that we're only going there 1 year. Very rarely does that happen. Almost always we've renewed, and we're looking forward to this third year in St. Louis with wide eyes open and more behind us than we've ever had before. Cool,
yeah, and I know everyone I've talked to is very excited. There's already a buzz going. People are, like I said, already getting tickets, and who are we going to see? It's almost overwhelming. Last year, like you said, you had concurrent panels going and celebrity photo ops and everything, and there's so much to do. Is there any thought to adding an extra day if things in certain cities build up, like do a Thursday and then a full day Friday?
Yeah, it's taken us a while to be able to do that in cities. So our Chicago and our Philadelphia shows, we do that. But Chicago, we're going on our 18th year, and Philly, we're going on our 15th year. So obviously that's something that's a big decision, because it's a big commitment for our artists, for our vendors. And, our artists and vendors really need to be there the entire time, with the exception of just a couple of artists. They're there all 3 days. So when you're talking about adding a fourth day, that's a big commitment for those folks. But in a place like Chicago and Philadelphia, where our show was it had busted completely out of the seams. We needed to have the fourth day. I think we added the fourth day in Chicago in probably about 10 years ago, and we added the fourth day in Philadelphia, I think was probably my second year, so I think 4 or 5 years ago, we added the fourth day in Philadelphia. And there is there's no movement right now for any of our other shows to get to that realm, but, everything is growing, and they're growing at different rates, and we could, you never know what we could see at some point, but right now we're interested in making these 3 days a very full and fulfilling experience for everyone.
I'm sure they will be. If the last 2 years were any indication, I'm sure they'll be quite fulfilling for all the fans and everyone alike. Jerry Milani, thank you very much for your time. Once again, it's wizardworld.com/St. Louis. You can check out all the celebrities and get tickets and everything like that. And that'll be the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of May.
Yes.
All right, excellent. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. Thank you, and we will see you in May.
Had a great one. Thank you.
Thank you.